Hello, everyone. I am Chesting44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Wrath of the Righteous. Last episode, we managed to get some more notes over to what's his name, the storyteller. Got a bit more information. He was still his past self was still trying to solve Earthfall, and went to Baphomet to try and figure out more. Well, not Baphomet directly, went to the Ivory Labyrinth. Then we came back and spoke to a couple people here in the Citadel. Someone came to tell us, hey, there's a possibility to get a powerful weapon in Blackwater. Very dangerous area, we're not going to go there for a long time. We also took care of the Logistics Council, made a choice there of what we're going to build, and also spoke to an Azata. We'll speak with him more in a little bit. First, let's go ahead and take a rest. Since I don't know if we're going to go anywhere immediately, I'll just do a hearty meal. We've already got people doing that, so go ahead and begin resting.
If I were to bisect you right there, where your human and lizard halves meet, it would look quite ridiculous.
If you did that, then each half would grow into a whole new land, and the two of them would give you a double beating. That's mongrel magic for you.
That's a bit disturbing, Camellia, of all things to consider. Oh, okay, Irabeth is done. We need to wait for the results, so I guess we'll be talking with her later. Because I don't think we have anything to say to her now. No. But, Ayu, do you have anything to say? No. Alright, let's speak with you. Early sunset greets you, graceful as ever. What questions are you burdened with? Tell me about yourself. By mortal standards, I am very, very old, so telling you about myself would take an unreasonably long time. Early sunset closes his shimmering eyes for a moment. Many of the creatures you call supernatural emerge from the reborn souls of mortals. I am not one of them. I was shaped from a fragment of my home plane as an embodiment of its principles. An eternity has passed since then, during which I've seen the incredible and witnessed the unbelievable. Gods battling one another, demon lords rising and falling, centuries-long disputes over the fate of the single soul brought before Pharasma's judgment. Yet despite the breadth of my experience, there are still things in this world that can surprise me. Like you, for instance. Tell me about the gods and things that have happened on other planes. You must have witnessed many great events. Oh, I know a story that you should find engaging. It's not directly related to you or current events, but it is still quite instructive. It occurred... let me see... less than 600 years ago, as time is measured in the material plane. In other words, it might as well have been yesterday. It all began with Aular, Lady of the Hunt, a demon lord who has since perished. It was her penchant to take control of the body of a recently deceased hero and visit their family and friends to wreak death on them in an especially gruesome manner. Aular preferred to keep the hero's soul somewhere close at hand to make them watch their loved ones die, unable to intervene. Believe me, I take no pleasure in recounting this meaningless violence. It so happened that Aular picked a righteous Drezen priestess, one the goddess was especially fond of as her new victim. It enraged the goddess, and believe me, the wrath of the righteous is much more destructive than that of evil and darkness. Title drop! We actually have a title drop! I have played through this, like, 3 or 4 times, and I've never had a title drop! Desna stormed into the abyss itself and obliterated Aular along with her realm, reduced her to dust, scattered her in the wind. And when she did that, something unexpected occurred. Demon lords, who had lived like spiders in a jar since time immemorial, never missing a chance to bite each other, suddenly banded together in an alliance called the Coalition of Chaos. I don't recall ever, and I mean ever, laughing as hard as I did when I first heard that name. That said, most of the gods do not see the humor in it. A planar war was about to break out, one that would claim at least as many lives as Earthfall, all because of a single priestess, her family, and her friends. Thankfully, Callistra wished to right Desna's wrongs. The goddess of revenge revealed her most powerful aspect, sowing discord among the demon lords. The Savored String is a true artist in that regard. I must say, the coalition of chaos crumbled and the war never began. The demon lords and their armies crawled back to the abyss where they belonged without glory. At least Desna actually fought evil instead of sitting on her hands. If you feel in your heart this is the right path, do not stop. Act as the beautiful goddess of the stars did. Elysium. What is it like? It is a plane of great contradictions. It is built on the ideas of freedom, good deeds, and openness to all. But here's the paradox. If you do not believe in restrictions and are prepared to accept everyone, must you also accept those who seek to restrain your freedom and bind you? If you are good and enjoy liberty, must you put up with those who are evil and who thirst for power? Will banishing them be considered a restriction of their freedom? So many questions. I am immediately reminded of the old metaphor of... I'm hesitant to say the word just because I don't want to get flagged, but... certain people with Z in the third letter in the basement. The idea being, you have a bar, you allow anyone to come in. So people come in, they have a good time, they talk with each other, they share their ideas, they talk about all sorts of things, and then the worst of the worst come in, because they're allowed to be there. Why not? So they come in, and they're tolerated at first, but people start pushing them away, but they're like, no, we're allowed to be here. You allow everyone in. So they decide to go into the basement and talk there, so at least they don't bother the people upstairs. But the people upstairs still know they're there, and hear their occasional words occasionally, and so the really good ones start leaving because they don't want to deal with that. But the worst of the worst remain. And over time, the people who are there start saying, yeah, it's a great place, you can do anything, but there's also really, really bad people in the basement. And so less people show up. And eventually, those good people start moving further and further away, less of the really good people are there, and you're only left with those who are willing to tolerate the worst of the worst, and the worst of the worst. And the worst of the worst start coming in more and more, because they're allowed to be there. And eventually it becomes a hive of scum and villainy. Because you're allowing anyone to be there. And when anyone is there, the worst are there, and people who don't want to deal with them leave. Yeah. There is an opposite situation where you ensure that those worst of the worst don't come in. So you set strict rules to not allow them in. But then it slowly starts getting stricter as people who are on the border of worst of the worst and are just kind of bad start coming in, but they're allowed. So you put in more rules to start letting the bad not in. But then you have the barrier there where it's people who are just like slightly not agreeing, but it still causes a problem for those who really do agree, and it just gets more and more restrictive until suddenly all you have is an echo chamber. Anytime you start gathering people together over a long enough period of time, it'll turn into the worst in the basement or the echo chamber. And it's really, really hard to avoid that happening between trying to manage rules, allow freedom, and deal with people's personal opinions. It is not an easy thing to do. So chaotic is that plane that its separate parts contrast sharply with the whole. Vengeful Callistria and Gorham, the embodiment of endless and meaningless war, rule over Elysium alongside the carefree Desna and the adventurer god Caden Kalian. I might say that the one thing Elysium cannot abide is order, but it wouldn't be quite true. It is more that order avoids Elysium at all cost. How is your study of my power progressing? Not quite as quickly as I'd like. Still, I can already tell that the key to controlling your power lies in self-control, believe it or not. You're driven by emotion. It may bring visions of Elysium upon you, or it may turn the rock you stand upon into a garden. So far, these manifestations of power have been harmless, but someday you might transform a fortress wall standing between you and an enemy army into a curtain of flowering vines. That's why you cannot simply let things run their course. Be cautious and prudent when making decisions. I'll be there for you. I will intervene and advise you if the choice you're about to make is potentially dangerous. And why did you decide to help me in the first place? Someone had to, says Early Sunset, his voice heavy with meaning. Anyone who wields that kind of power, especially a power heretofore unknown that shifts the balance in the world wound, cannot be left unattended. As much as I'd like to avoid odious comparisons to a moth drawn to a flame, it is true in a sense. I have been drawn to your light, so here I am. I have to go. Farewell, and remember that I'm here to help. Alright, let's manage the Crusade affairs. See if we have anything that we need to handle here. A day has passed, so our forces do need to start marching. Erebeth has been appointed squad commander in the Vanguard. Good to know. And these are going to take a while to do. So we don't really have much we can do. Campaign, though. Setsuna's Wrath, you're going to go there. You can't really go anywhere else after that. Let's see. You are moving back. Alright. And Agaboya's scouts, you are also moving down. There we go. So, Agaboya's scouts, you can now have a fourth group with you. But we shouldn't yet. I will be getting more paladins soon. That is true. Once these decrees are done, we'll be getting 6 paladins here, and in 4 days we'll be getting another 12, so I should save that up. You will probably be able to deal with that. Setsuna's Wrath. Yeah, there's not much you're going to be able to do here. That force we will need to take care of. We'll deal with it later. This force as well probably won't be too bad, actually. We could clear it out. We'll come back to it. For now, we could easily clear out that demon army. That force. There's a lot of powerful foes. There's some up here who would be very difficult to deal with. Oh, actually, it might not be as bad as I thought. We could probably clean out that army very easily. But I do kind of want to try and claim this fort. It's going to be easy. Probably. Alright. But now there's a question. Where are we going to go? Like, we do have a quest over in the east for one of our guys. We do have a couple quests down here to deal with. This one is actually a main quest. This one is a main quest. This one is a main quest. So those 3 are all main quests. We do have more we'll eventually be doing down here. This is Blackwater. We're not doing that for a while. There's not much we can do over here. Well, there are some things down here. We can't do much down here yet. So we can't get to it. So we could try and clear out these 3. I know this one is a very simple one, relatively simple one to do, and clears out some. And that one is... Right, that one's green gates. I think we can make our way this way, take out green gates and this one here. That would probably be a fairly good idea. I like the idea. We can go take care of green gates, and then go down to the Molten Star. I do like that idea. I am going to take a quick trip up there, see if that got changed at all. Alright, let's head out.
Follow if you dare.
Head to here. And head on out to the fortress gates. Who are we going to take with us? I think you'd be good with us. You need to go to the green gates, so you can join us there. Although, if that's the case, we need someone else melee for healing. We'll take you. You, and our mage. I think that could work. Yeah, I think that'll work fine. Just gonna make one quick trip to the court first, see if they did actually change things at all, or if it's actually set up more like a camp. I am curious. If it is now a camp, that'll be great, and I very much want to see what it looks like now. Alright, let's see. You, go ahead, get on the mount. Thank you. It is a camp now. Don't you miss the city, Aranka? People used to pack into the square to hear you sing. Il, you're hilarious. Of course I don't. What Desnan Bard would actually miss the city? It's here that I have all of you and a magic garden in the middle of the world wound. But even if I didn't have that, even I was entirely alone. I could always sing for the clouds and the wind. There's someone I'd like you to meet, actually. Arushale's eyes go wide and she clasps her hands in a defensive gesture. Hi. I know who you are, and you probably know who I am. Ilks looks even more flabbergasted than when your powers transformed the ridge into a flowering garden. I recognize your voice. You're the one who sent us those visions and warned us about that attack on Canabras. And you're a demon. The demon who helped us and who was able to use Desna's magic. I'm at a loss for words. What's your name? Why did you start helping Crusaders? Why don't you come over for tea someday? Do demons even drink tea? Oh, there are so many things I want to ask you. As the young man gushes, Arushale's hands loosen their grip and she smiles weakly. My name is Arushale. I'll certainly take you up on your offer if I have some time to spare after the raids with the commander. I'm so thrilled to meet you all. Arushale turns to you and whispers. Thank you. Thank you, Falai. Those three were the first mortals who listened to me and believed me. So bright and lively, all three of them. I had no idea what they'd think when they found out who the voice from their dreams belonged to. I still have to tell them what I've done, how I murdered a Desnan priestess before becoming what I am. Still, I'm glad they didn't spurn me at first sight. Remind me again what you do and what your goals are? Okay. What's the general mood in the court? Oh, things are going splendidly. The court is a wonder, pure and simple. Soon its fame will spread far beyond Mendev. I'm sure it will be the talk of the Abyss, too. Tell me about yourselves. How did you all become followers of Desna? If the three of us start talking at once, which happens quite often, you won't be able to make anything out. Ilps, what's your story? My family are some of the few humans allowed to live in Keonan, the land of the elves. I was born in Greengold and often traveled with my parents through the elven forests or sailed the elven rivers. We occasionally got lost, but I always found the way home. My parents quickly realized that there was a reason for that. I was guided by some peculiar power. I turned my prayers to Desna. It was a childish faith I had and childish prayers I offered, but they worked. Those marked by Desna rarely sit still for long. I soon left home to see the world and wandered until I ended up in Canabras. Wounded crusaders were being brought into the city at the time, and there was a terrible shortage of priests and healers. When I saw the faces of the wounded, I realized that no matter how amazing the world was, my heart would never be at peace if I didn't stay there and help. Can you tell me about yourself, Aranka? My family are of the lesser nobility, but mother, father, and grandmother never bragged about their titles. We have a nice little estate the size of a medium farmstead, a house overgrown with ivy, a couple of big, shaggy dogs, and even shaggier horses. Aranka's smile shines as brightly as the sun. I love my home and my family, but my talents as a bard and the call of adventure never let me stay home for long. My parents have never minded. Father used to joke that he'd rather let me roam the world than have to keep dragging me down off the blades of the old mill I love to climb. So with my parents' blessing, I traveled and refined my art until I met Ilks and Canabras and realized that's where I belong. It's your turn, Wallflower. My story is the least interesting. Out of us three, I'm the only one from Mendev, an orphan. My parents, like those of many others, died in the Crusade. I always wanted to be a wizard, but I didn't begin my studies until quite late. Finding opportunities to learn magic in an orphanage is hard. Actually, there aren't many wizards among Desna's worshippers. She mostly attracts bards and travelers. But I just happened to enter her shrine one day, and I knew in an instant that I wanted to stay. Before I found the shrine of Desna that day, I had only ever seen temples of Iomade and Abadar. I had this idea in my head that temples were always grand and solemn, but Desna's shrine was more like a tent at a carnival, and the service a joyous performance. I must have seen creatures of all races in there, and even a few fae. Everyone was in high spirits, dancing merrily to the singing of a bard. It was one of Aranka's famous concerts. That's when I met her and Ilks and immediately joined the temple, and that's where I stayed. Why did you believe I was the one who could improve our odds in the war with demons? You probably think we only followed you because of your power, but that's not true. Or rather, it's more than that. We believe that your power is just a consequence. The gods must have seen something in you. That's why they chose you as their champion. You helped us in Canabras, even though the city's prelate denounced us as criminals. Few would have done what you did. The Crusaders have never had a commander like you before. By Desna's stars, I don't want to disparage those who have fought bravely and shed their blood for us, but we've made no headway for the last 4 crusades, and for good reason. The commanders of our paladins seem to believe that all you need to do to win is form a column and march bravely headlong toward evil. If the 5th crusade followed the same logic, we'd just fail again. With you, everything should be different. It already is. Our endeavor here, I mean the court and the Free Crusaders, looks a little crazy, but for all we know, a little bravery and madness might be exactly what the Crusades have been missing. How are things going in my court? It's not exactly calm and tranquil, but at least it's a lot of fun. We're settling in and making preparations to fight off demons if we have to. I don't think they'd like the idea of an incredible place like this existing in this rotten wound of theirs. Still, there are a lot of us, and we have many talents. We can handle it. Until next time. Alright, let's take a look around the place then. Oh, what's this? The mysterious word Valhalflings has been carved into the stone. Valhalflings. We are not mere halfling warriors. We are the Valhalflings. The Valhalflings. The halflings' dummies for combat training. Each dummy has a sign lovingly attached to it displaying a name such as Gwenda the Meanie or Tubby the Straw Man. Okay, so we have the Valhalflings. Is that alcohol? Melted rocks, colorful stains left by various substances, and a strange smell indicate the presence of Maitress Ola Devara, the alchemist. Up in here? Nope, this is the Maestro. This place is so inspiring. Okay, he's in a nice little area in some ruins. I like that. Alright, makes sense she's over here. I should have become a brewer instead of an alchemist. Perhaps someday I'll do just that. How do you like it here in the court? Oh, it's simply wonderful. You've no idea how tired I am of prejudice. Why are people so horrible to alchemists who worship the god of inebriance, I ask you? Are any of your potions for sale? Of course! It's not just potions either. My friends bring me all sorts of goods to sell. And when I say all sorts, I mean it. Well, let's see. Goggles of Ferocious Pact. The wearer gets a penalty to AC, a penalty to Persuasion, a penalty to Fort, but a bonus to Damage, Will, and Wisdom. Do not like. The target must pass a will or become cursed. If it healed this creature before, now deals damage and vice versa. For positive energy. Okay. Wand of Odd Miracles. Odd Miracles. Okay. Wand of Chaos Hammer. Chaotic power to smite your enemies. Takes the form of a multicolored explosion of leaping, ricocheting energy. Only lawful and neutral creatures are harmed by the spell. Deals 1d8 points of damage per 2 caster levels to lawful creatures, and slows them for... Okay. Only half damage against creatures who are neither lawful nor chaotic, and they are not slowed. Wand of Thundering Drums. Wand of Freedom of Movement. Earth's Embrace. This shirt grants its wearer a +2 enhancement bonus to Con, a +4 bonus on saving throws against fire, and +4 bonus on lore nature. Interesting. And whenever the wearer of these gloves lands a hit with a ranged weapon on an enemy within 30 feet, it deals additional damage and applies bleed. Pretty good gloves. Alright, and what do we got over here? Ivu the Lovely Dragon was here. If you're reading this, give me a cookie.
I'm gone.
Alright, Ivu. I'll give you a cookie. What type do you want? Chocolate chip? Probably chocolate chip. And there's the cavalry sculptors. Down in a pit over here. 2 hoof prints are visible at the very edge of the precipice, as though someone has been rearing up on a horse here. Down with the pikeman confectioners, says an inscription made with pebbles. Pikeman confectioners, bloody hell. We are the cavalry sculptors. Tomorrow is ours. Okay. It's a nice little place, I have to say. There's not much going on here, yet. I'm sure more will eventually happen, but I do admit, it is nice seeing this little camp. I'm sure it'll improve later on. And with that, I am going to end this episode here. Next episode, we're going to go to the Green Gates and go to the Molten Scar and clear those out. Probably do some other things on the way. But, oh, we do have that we need to take care of. We'll take care of that later. For now, I am going to end this episode here. Next episode, other things to do. Till then, I am Chestic44, also known as Falai. That is me, Sela, Social, Arushale, Lan, and Nenio. This has been a Let's Play of Wrath of the Righteous, and I shall see you all next time.